Straight ahead on 12 News, an update on plans to redevelop the vacant Four Seasons Mall in Plymouth. Plus, we'll meet an Armstrong student who is already living his future. But first, a show of unity at Maple Grove High School, where students took a stand against messages of hate. 12 News starts right now.
And thanks for joining us. The Osseo School District is trying to determine who is responsible for racist graffiti found at Maple Grove High School.
Meanwhile, students are taking a stand against the hateful messages. And 12 News reporter Sonia Goins has more.
They lined up early this morning to cheer everyone at the start of the day.
Write a message of love, positive graffiti. Everyone write a message of love.
Crimson family coming together to show each other love instead of hate.
That's honestly really good. I'm proud that they did that, but seriously, we need to do a lot more.
Moses and others say they don't feel safe after racist graffiti was found Wednesday morning scrawled in a bathroom. The message included a racial slur and more.
I was scared and terrified. I was really disgusted. I didn't feel like I was wanted in the school at all.
The derogatory message went viral. It included things like whites only, Trump train, and go back to Africa.
That's not okay. That's not something us as Americans should be doing.
Some students took the day off and gathered at Maple Grove Library to talk about healing and awareness.
At school, kids hear things and see things and don't say anything. That's part of the problem. We need people to stand up and be these leaders that we all have inside of us.
There are more than 450 students of color at Maple Grove High School. Both black and white students say the messages were harmful and hurtful.
And I was personally affected by it. I don't want to be represented this way at my school. This is not what the Crimson family is about.
In Maple Grove, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
The Osseo School District and Maple Grove Police are investigating the incident. Both the school district and Maple Grove released statements saying the messages are not reflective of the community.
Newly re-elected Republican State Senator Warren Limmer is also speaking out on the incident. In a statement released to 12 News, Limmer says the recent racist graffiti discovered in the Maple Grove Senior High School is a tremendous affront to all people and has no place in our community. The statement goes on to say combining this insult with a political theme makes it a lie. Limmer also expressed how proud he was of the Maple Grove student body for proactive efforts to make all kids feel welcome in their school. Hennepin County focused today on the protection and well-being of children.
A string of infant deaths at the hands of their caregivers, along with more cases of abuse and neglect, has put a spotlight on the county's Child Protection Services Division. Delane Cleveland joins us now with more on that. Delane?
Mike and Shannon, Hennepin County caseworkers are overworked and understaffed. Those are just a couple of the challenges facing the county's child protection team, but they've come up with a plan to help protect children from abuse and neglect.
The vision for child well-being is that we provide supports and services to high-risk families earlier on in the process so that we've got a continuum of care, that we're not waiting for a child to be abused or neglected in order for the government response to go into place. How do we develop in the community the right supports through partnership with government?
Hennepin County's Child Protection Oversight Committee spent 13 months evaluating ways to improve the child protection system. County leaders presented their findings this morning and suggested a 3-year plan to protect at-risk children. Those proposals include adding staff to keep up with the case demand, more staff for a parent outreach program, and a new child well-being director. However, the plan would cost $26 million, and county officials haven't identified a funding source.
I'm optimistic we'll get some money, but I mean, the sobering thing here is that some of the tragic cases we hear about, the reports of abuse and neglect, are happening. And they're happening maybe down our block. So we all have to take a little ownership of that. So when we see somebody screaming at their kid in the aisle of the grocery store, maybe we want to go over and try to diffuse the thing. Very hard to do in a polite society, but it's that or pay more taxes.
County officials say they plan to reach out to the governor and state legislature to get some of that money. Other options include reaching out to private donors and making budget cuts elsewhere. Mike?
All right, Delane, thank you. Brooklyn Park Police are starting a pilot project to give officers more information about child protection. When police are called to an address where Child Protective Services has oversight, it will generate a red flag in the dispatch center, and that helps police know what to look for.
One, we're aware now that child protection is involved with this family and with this child or children. And then number two, what has Hennepin County and this family determined is in the best interest of this family and this child moving forward? And if they're not adhering to those agreements, then it's another tool for us to make a decision what's going to be in the best interest of this child before I even leave this home.
A safety plan could prohibit certain people from being at the home or perhaps prohibit alcohol in the house. But up until now, details of that plan were not shared with police. The pilot project is set to run for 1 year.
Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison won re-election to serve the 5th District, which includes Brooklyn Center, Crystal, Robbinsdale, and Golden Valley. Now, former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is recommending Ellison to become the next chair of the Democratic National Committee. The recommendation comes after several missteps atop the DNC. Former party head Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned after derogatory emails were leaked that showed a bias against Sanders. The interim chair of the DNC, Donna Brazil, was also mired in controversy after more leaks showed she fed Hillary Clinton campaign debate questions during the Democratic primary. Now that the election is over, you might be wondering what will happen to all of those campaign signs. By law, campaign signs are required to come down within 10 days after the general election. If signs aren't removed by November 18th, cities with sign ordinances can begin taking them away.
In Brooklyn Park, it was a celebration of 2 holidays at once today, Thanksgiving and Veterans Day.
Thanksgiving is a perfect time to remember veterans and see how grateful we are for their service.
The Brooklyn Park Police Honor Guard and about 250 people attended a Thanksgiving and Veterans Remembrance Luncheon at the Community Activity Center. It came with plenty of pumpkin pie there. And one veteran who served from Vietnam to the first Gulf War wore an old uniform that still fits.
I enjoyed it. I had a good job. I felt that what I was doing was worthwhile, that I really accomplished something. And I helped the nation. I probably even helped the world and what my specialty was.
John's specialty was intelligence and communications. He says he is grateful that veterans' sacrifices are being remembered. Well, coming up, the latest on plans to redevelop the vacant Four Seasons Mall in Plymouth.
And then later in sports, we catch up with the Totino-Grace football team as they get ready for state playoffs.
But first, plenty of sunshine and cooler temperatures coming on Friday. Welcome back, everyone. A new Japanese-style steakhouse is getting ready to open in Maple Grove. Sumo Japanese Sushi Steakhouse is replacing a Japanese steakhouse on Main Street that closed earlier this year. The new hibachi-style restaurant plans to open in early December. The manager is a native of Tibet and just moved to Minnesota 2 months ago, having previously managed restaurants on the East Coast. In Plymouth, plans continue to move forward for the redevelopment of the vacant Four Seasons Mall.
Now it's up to city officials to review the plans. We get more from Eric Nelson.
This would bring new life into that area. Right now, it's an empty mall, and so it would bring new businesses.
The old Four Seasons Mall has been a ghost town for 5 years, but soon this site could be teeming with multi-use development.
The idea is to redevelop it with 2 hotels, some commercial and retail uses, and a senior housing project.
One hotel would be a loft, the other a Town Place Suites by Marriott. The senior housing facility would have 139 units. An environmental assessment review has been completed and is under further review. This is one more step in a process that could dramatically change the look of this area.
And that's a scoping document that reviews things like whether or not there's any existing hazardous materials on the site. It looks at water and ecological resources, and also potential noise and air pollution impacts of the development.
Once the review is finished, Plymouth will consider the site plan, which will go before the City Council in January or February. Construction could start in the spring. One of the other proposals here at the old Four Seasons Mall site is to build a parking ramp. It would have 339 spaces. In Plymouth, I'm Eric Nelson, Channel 12 News.
The 30-day environmental review period begins on Monday. A public hearing at the Planning Commission will be on December 7th. Coming up, a standout student who is already making a name for himself in the film industry.
But first, highlights from the opening day of the state volleyball tournament. Jay Wilcox says that and more next in sports. A lot of excitement going on in St. Paul this week. The state volleyball tournament is on, and we have 3 schools there.
Yeah, and playing pretty well. It's an exciting first day and only going to get better by the weekend here. It's become a tradition for the Champlin Park volleyball team. Reach the state tournament and face Roseville in one of those matches. After 2 5-set battles with the Raiders in the past 2 tournaments, the Rebels had another challenge from Roseville Thursday. In the opening set, the Rebels go right side to Marissa Vatndal-Vidal for the kill and a 20-10 lead. The Rebels win 25-12, and it's all smiles early. But any thought this would be easy vanishes. Olivia Garby sneaks it through the block, and the Raiders prevail 25-20 in set 2. Champlin Park comes back to take the 3rd set, though. Sydney Hilly shows her blocking skill here. The Rebels win 25-19. Here's the type of match this is. The teams trade blocks at the net, and the Raiders take the point and the 4th set, 25-22, to force a 5th and deciding set against the favored Rebels. But Champlin Park doesn't panic. A great dig by Brianna Gore leads to a kill for Emma Schmidt. The Rebels go up early 5-2 in the 5th. Ms. Volleyball winner Hilly is superb. This is one of her 42 kills in the match. Champlin Park survives a 5-set battle. They've been thinking about this weekend since last state tournament.
We were really excited about getting 3rd last year, but we also left thinking that we could have done more. And I think after that, the first practice of this year, we're like, all right, we can do more. We just started where we left off.
Well, the Hopkins Royals are the number 3 seed for the 3A tournament. They had a little easier time in their first match. The Royals taking on Moorhead in the quarterfinal round. Off a Moorhead serve, Tara Lee will set to Jasmine Martin for the kill as the Royals cruise to a 25-14 win in set 1. And the Spud doesn't know how to stop that one. Moorhead plays a strong 2nd set, but Hopkins battles back. Greta Werner cross court for the kill to pull the Royals within 20-19. And Jane Nelson gets the block on set point as Hopkins overcomes some errors to win 25-23 to go up 2-0. The 3rd set stays close. Lee goes right side to Anna Erickson. The block is late. Erickson delivers for a 10-8 lead. And Moorhead can't stop Martin. She records 20 kills as Hopkins wins in 3 despite playing slightly less than their best.
You know, I don't think we had a strong middle game today. I don't know that that was our best performance, but I thought we played well enough, obviously, to win. But I don't feel like that was by any means our best performance. So I think we have a little bit more in us.
So it's Hopkins versus Champlin Park in the semifinals Friday morning at 11. Heritage Christian won its opening match in the Class A tournament in 5 sets over Underwood Thursday afternoon, so they'll play top seed Mayer Lutheran at 1 o'clock Friday in the semis. The Totino-Grace football team is headed back to a familiar place, the state playoffs. It's the 8th consecutive trip to state for the Eagles. Grace is ranked number 1 in the state in Class 6A and is coming off a 41-0 shutout of Hopkins last Friday. The Eagles are 10-0 on the season and now prepare to play a dangerous Lakeville North team in the 6A quarterfinals.
It's going to be fun. They're really good. Obviously, Wade Sullivan likely would, he's Mr. Football strong candidate, a Metro Player of the Year strong candidate. He's got 32 touchdowns. Nobody's really stopped him yet. It's going to eliminate big plays, which is tough against them. Their defense is really good. They're a handful.
For our offensive line, we're going to have to be really low. We're going to have to get under pad. They're a really good defense. They fly around. They have a lot of athletic guys. So I think our offense, we need to stay focused. And I think our defense just needs to play stout. That's the way they have been playing.
We just have to stop the run game and play our defense, and then offense, once they get to moving the ball, it's really hard to stop those backs because they're really good.
The Eagles worked out this week on the turf field at Irondale High School in preparation for their game Thursday night on a similar surface at Edina. Like most teams, the Eagles say they like playing on the turf.
I don't know, I guess it's more of an advantage, not a disadvantage at all. I mean, it's an advantage if anything, just get used to it. It's a lot nicer than
planning on grass because grass this time's been pretty beat up, so you're slipping and stuff like that, so it's nice to get practice on the turf.
We'll have highlights of Grace Lakeville North game Friday starting at 4 on 12 News. So some big games coming up later in the week too on Friday night.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
After the break, one high school student is not waiting until after college to follow a dream.
He is already winning awards. We'll meet our standout student coming up next. When we asked a teacher about how bright the future is for our standout student this week, we got a very unique answer.
That Armstrong standout student, Gabe Hostetler, is already living his future as an award-winning and successful filmmaker. To make a music video, before you ever pick up a camera, a filmmaker must listen first. Visualize the story, and then the work begins.
He said he wanted a 70s theme, and that's all he told me.
Gabe Hostetler turned a music video into a story that wowed the judges and won Best Music Video at the American High School Film Festival in New York.
For them to really say, like, this is an amazing project, that really felt good, and that showed me that I need to keep doing this.
Gabe already does professional work on the side.
I edit at least 20 hours a week.
Earning money not by waiting tables, but by producing special projects.
I'm fortunate enough to get to work doing what I love. Let's do it again with more hand gestures.
But before graduation,
Action.
Gabe is leaving a mark on his high school. He is one of the leading forces behind a new production.
Well, what do you think about creating a legacy for Armstrong and doing something like Armstrong TV?
Welcome to Armstrong TV.
Armstrong TV, made possible by a grant from the Seven Dreams Foundation, is a show for students, by students.
We develop Armstrong TV as a platform to entertain students while kind of showing all the beautiful parts of our school that sometimes go unseen.
He's doing this now, so he just continues to get better as he grows.
Gabe hopes to attend film school and eventually make feature films. If talent is any indication, Armstrong TV won't be Gabe Hostetler's only legacy.
I'm getting a head start right now, and I know going forward, this is something I want to do.
Gabe is looking at colleges that would allow him to study film and play basketball too. He plays basketball for the Cooper Hawks. And Mike and Jay, he might be the only high school student, after I've interviewed him, he hands me a business card with his business. I don't think that has ever happened.
Much.
He's got it together. I think he's really talented.
Way to go, Gabe. And I was wondering if maybe our photographer felt a little pressure in the edit booth to
Maybe so. I hope Gabe liked it.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And we'll see you back here again Friday, starting at 4.